Hey, Ben here with Studio on the Lake. So here's another one in the middle. This is, heck, I don't remember now, number 3 or number 4 of the bird series, and how this one came about. So this is just a little sparrow, a real simple sparrow. And once again, there's going to be 2 parts. So he came about while I was working on the carousel in the middle. And this is a cutoff piece that kind of reminded me of a sparrow as I took a cut off on there, and in the middle of carving on the carousel, I was getting kind of bored of it, and I wanted to do something else for a few minutes or for that session. And I thought, well, this looks like a sparrow with his head kind of popped up and full bodied, as opposed to like the baby bird. So went ahead and kept the camera running and did a little sparrow here and mounted him on a piece of driftwood. So, as always, started off with a knife, and you can see the shape was pretty much already there. It looked like a sparrow. A lot of times in the woodworking community, or the carving community, especially when we had a wood carving shop here 20 years ago, I had a little a bench up in the corner, and I'd sit there when the shop was open, and I'd carve. And one of the common questions that was asked was, do you see the piece in the wood? That was probably number 2 or 3, right behind, what kind of wood is that? People who don't even know what wood is felt that that's what they had to ask. It's kind of like, how's the weather outside? It's a common opening. But in this case, the piece did look like a sparrow. I personally don't see things in the wood. Certain shapes obviously give you an idea on where to go if you're looking for ideas. If you're doing Geordie Johnson over there, walking down the beach, a piece of driftwood or whatever gives you an idea. A lot of times, like I know Geordie and I do too, you'll look around for another project to carve, and you're staring at your wood stash, and something jumps out that says you need to make this out of this thing. So here's another in the bird series tutorial. You've seen, if you're a subscriber and you're looking through these, or if you came along and just started perusing some of the videos that I've got up here at Studio on the Lake, you'll notice that this year I'm doing a bird series and also a carousel series. Well, the first of the carousel videos is out. The thing is complete, as is this guy. I broke this down into 2 parts. The first part just kind of getting the shape of the bird around, and the second part with the detail and the burning and whatnot in that. Both of them later today will be up on my Etsy channel. If you haven't looked out over there at the Etsy store, I put one bird up there, and it disappeared within a day. Within a few minutes of it. That was the baby bird. And most of these that I put on here, if they don't get stolen by my wife or something and added to our collection of carvings, will be on there and for sale. And all the profits for that go to support the channel. I'm not going to get rich off of Etsy or selling bird carvings. I still have to hold a real job. So if you're inclined, go check it out. And the best way to find that, there's a link down below in the description, as well as the other people that I kind of follow along on here. And then also, it's pretty simple. Ben Studio on the Lake, one word. If you go into Etsy, and it'll pop up my page on there. So I did the initial shaping with the knife, because this was some point here in the middle of this video, or maybe the next video, heck, I don't know, the second part of this video, you'll see the Carousel Seahorse laying in my lap, and this was done at the same time as the Carousel Seahorse, and that's not a good idea if you're doing production, as many of you know that are doing posting videos and stuff on here. Quite literally, there are 60 or 70 clips in both of those videos. Each clip maybe 10 or 15 minutes long, 5 minutes long. I reach up and turn the camera or stop the recording and restart it, and then I edit in sequence. So 600, 601, 602, that sort of thing. Well, when I would get tired of messing with the carousel horse, or spacing off and wanted to relax, I would grab this bird, and therefore he ended up in the middle of all the rest of the seahorse. And I got to admit, it's a pain in the butt because the numbers are no longer sequential on the clips. Like I said, 600, 601, 602. You might go 20 clips and then back to this guy for 2 clips and then back to the seahorse. So it was a pain in the butt when it came to editing. A guy needs to stick with one carving all the way through, but I didn't. So here's the layout lines, and you can kind of see as this guy goes along that he is pretty much the shape is there, and I just continue on down with the reference lines and then grab that knife because it's quicker actually than power carving in a lot of cases. And now I'm going to put a tail on this guy. I keep holding him up, and I say the same things over and over again. But this is a tutorial, so I'm putting what I would think would be the tail shape in there. I call him a sparrow. Anatomically, he's not correct. At some point, I will tell you when I start doing, like, the hawks will be anatomically correct. When I get doing the crow, if I get all the way through the eagle series, they will be anatomically correct. But this guy, I had no reference for him other than what I think a bird looks like in the back of my mind. So the wing tips, the coverlets, the various different parts of the bird. If you start carving, you'll get into bird anatomy or doing this sort of thing. This guy is not anatomically correct, and his eyes are a little bit oversized when we get to that point there. So Rainbowson bench knife, my standard knife, sits on the carving station over the side. Hey, if you just found this channel, you could certainly help us out by supporting the channel by subscribing. As always, like, comment, leave a comment down below. I do look at those comments, and I do respond to them on occasion. There are quite a few, and I can't get to all of them, but if you ask a question, I'll do my best to get in there and answer that question for you. So this is my older micro carver, 30,000 RPM. It's got a saber burr in there, a medium. You can tell by the yellow color, and I'm just shaping where the head comes down into the body. Now, unlike the baby bird, which was designed to sit down in your hand, this one I kind of had an idea as he's going along that I was going to have to put some legs on him, and I do that pretty simply with just some wire later on. At some point, I probably do a full bird, and I'll show you. I use cast legs for those in a lot of cases. You've seen those if you've seen me pick through my Tohican glass eye box. The bird legs are in there, and they're just easier and stronger to use than making them up from scratch. Now, if you're doing a competition piece, you can't use those, and you need to go ahead and carve and fabricate the legs. So now I'm just shaping this guy around and getting the silhouette right. I have probably sold or given away more of these little birds than anything else. One of the reasons is they're what I go to if I'm just relaxing. I'll grab a piece and carve one of these little birds out. Sometimes they come out pretty good, other times they don't. I've talked about it before. The carvings that I am fond of and I like are not necessarily the carvings that other people like or that will sell readily. Something that I thought would have sold fairly rapidly in years past, I still have. And then other things that I absolutely hated and put it out there simply for the sake of having something for sale in the shops that I've ran over the years, or websites, and they sold right away. So there's no telling what people like or someone will find they like. I'm now coming back and setting in the eye channels. If you've watched any other people do bird carvings, the eye channel seems, it kind of makes the bird come alive, gives it a simpler, or gives it a more of a realistic shape. Their eyes are set down, and when you get done doing the head and you get that perfect shape on there, it's counterintuitive to cut this line down through the middle of the head. I guess that's the benefit of these videos that are teaching, is to show you how to get to a particular point. Because if you're carving a bird for the first time or second or third time, and you're looking at it and you're thinking that it looks good, but something's not quite right with it, that might be the answer, or one of the answer. You can look at these videos, and it hopefully will improve your carving. And that's kind of why I do it, to share this stuff. A lot of this stuff I've picked up on my own. A lot of it I've ripped off from other people. There's a lot of excellent carvers out there, and they don't get the credit that they deserve. When you're looking for reference material, there's nothing better than the web. I don't know what we did prior to the web. You had to go down to the library and grab a book, and hopefully you found what you were looking for. Or you had to go search through several different magazines. I noticed that Just Carve Rob has picked up a wood carving magazine. I can't remember what it was, and he did a Grumpy Eagle pattern that was in there. There are those magazines out there. People are still doing carvings if you've got the patience, and I don't. International World of Wood Carvers, I think is the name of it. They throw they interview carvers, and they'll run an hour or 2 hour live feed. And in that live feed, they'll pick a carver who's well established and has some a style or a particular carvings that they do, and they'll show how they do that. I watched a little bit of some of those, but I can't stomach going all the way through. These eyes were a size or a millimeter or 2 millimeter too big, and they were what I had, but they'll work out fine. So I picked out a couple of eyes that would work in this guy, and then I set the eye sockets in, and you're going to see what I'm doing here is I'm coming back and redefining that channel, because you can't carve, you don't want to carve really close to those eyes once you get them set in there. So now I'm kind of imagining where that eye would be set down in there, and I'm doing a lot of the smooth work around before I put the eyes in. And you'll see I'm playing with the beak a little bit, which is really kind of the last thing that I play with on these. I get the head shape done, and then I'll come back and put the beak in. A lot of people will start with the beak and then try to go forwards, and to me that's counterintuitive. The smallest piece dictating the rest of the head. So in this case, I do the head, and then I leave a little bit of material on the end there for the beak. And when I get the shape of the head correct, then I'll go ahead and come back and do the beak. You can see I haven't feathered down into the back of him yet, but he definitely has a bird thing going on here. World famous Quickwood, the go-to for setting eyes. I use that to fix cracks. I use that if I was going to build some legs. I would probably use a wire, and then I'd put some of this Quickwood around the wire. It dries in about 15-20 minutes. It's got a little bit of a working time. You don't have to be in too big a hurry. This is where the birds get some life to them. That's why I use these eyes. These are Tohican glass eyes. If you go to that website, Tohican.com or whatever the heck it is, you'll see thousands and thousands of eyes. It's a taxidermy site, and they sell taxidermy eyes primarily. And then these are for wood carving, the smaller ones. I don't think a taxidermist wants to mess around with a sparrow, particularly. One of the reasons I stayed with went with the sparrow on this guy is some of the other birds, the finches, the robins, the goldfinch, that sort of stuff. To some degree, the black-capped chickadee, which I will do because people have asked for them. Seem to be a lot of people carving those. Is they need the paint on there, and this guy I can kind of get away with just the burning. And I did do a little bit of a wash on him when I was done, simply because he was sitting next to the Carousel Seahorse when I was painting, and I put a couple of acrylic washes on the guy. So now I'm coming back. We're starting to get into the point where he gets the detail work, and I laid the lines out on the head. That's a little ball diamond bit, and I'm using this like I would. This is kind of the go-to pattern that I go to when I do feathers. So I'm starting at the front. I'm working this back in little bumps. And in actuality, what this is doing is setting small bumps in there. And when I come back and burn, or if I were to stone, this little round ball bit has pretty much set some feather levels up for me, and the burner goes a little bit deeper over the bump and then comes back out, and it tends to read pretty good. At least that's my opinion, of course. And if you start carving these, you'll develop your own style. But you'll notice I am following those reference lines that I drew in there, and I will draw those in it over and over again until they're no longer needed. It just keeps me honest and gives me some place to know where I'm going. If you haven't checked out some of the other carvers below, by all means go down there in the links in the descriptions and do that. There's a lot of great people out there doing these. These do take a little bit of time to put together. And those that do this can attest to that. It's not just the carving; it's the editing that goes with this, and then obviously the music and the voiceover to get a complete production together. One guy you should really take a look at is a young kid up in Canada, Calvin Carves. And he's 12, 13 years old, and he's just getting into this. He's way ahead of us, older boogers, on the editing portion of it, simply because I think he grew up with this technology. We didn't necessarily. So there's a good shape. He's got his head up in the air. You can see about where my thumb is, and he's going to sit down. So I didn't show you a lot of the second video of this part 2 really gets into the burning again, and this is a quick burn, a little different styling than the baby bird. The baby bird has more of the detail, a little different style on the feathers, but this first part I didn't want to do a whole lot of burning. That's why you see part of the head there burned. I will come in the second video and show you how I did that, but now I'm laying out the back feathers, the tail, where it comes down into the wingtips, and this will all get smoothed over, and then I'll start in the burning process. This guy's going to get mounted, like I said, on a little piece of, I think it's a piece of driftwood. I don't know if I'm, no matter what I'm doing, where I'm at, if I see a branch sitting there, I will go ahead and grab that if it's interesting, and I'll throw it in the corner. So there is the shape of this guy. I wish, as I'd gone through here, as I'm critiquing, of course, I like this guy, but I'm not 100% happy with him. I should have set his eyes. I should have put a little bit smaller eyes in him, and I should have set those eyes a little bit deeper, and I didn't. It's too late to go back and fix that, but that may appeal to somebody. And like I said, this guy will be up later today. If you're just watching this on the Etsy channel, it won't be as expensive as the baby bird was, and you could go into a whole litany on how to price these things out. Certainly by the hour doesn't work. There's hundreds of videos on YouTube where someone will talk to you and tell you, as an artist or as a woodcarver or painter or whatever, how do you price something, and it's a crapshoot, quite honestly. You can't charge by the hour. My day job, I make more typically in an hour than most of this stuff I can sell for. Although these will have, when I'm done messing around with them, probably 10 to 20 hours in them. And you can't sell those. If you were to go with McDonald wages, people wouldn't buy them. They couldn't afford to buy them. And I don't know, what's McDonald's get now, $15 an hour? Which seems a little bit ludicrous when I remember working for, I don't know, $1.35, something along those lines. But you can see this was, I really didn't have an intention of filming or posting this, but I did end up with all the footage, so I thought, well, let's throw the sparrow in there. And like I said, I was doing this in between doing the carousel to take a break from the carousel animal for the different stylings. So once again, I rambled. I was talking about pricing. The pricing is what people will pay for them. If you get to the point where you have one item and it sells, and then you build another one and it sells immediately, and you build another one and it sells immediately, then you probably need to up the prices a little bit. But there's a happy-go-lucky. So here's a kind of the layout on the first one, and we're getting pretty close to the end of this. So I cut the video here and then broke the technical part of the burning down in the second one. But there's what we're going to end up with in the second one, and I am going to change the color on his beak just a tad. But he's just a little piece of driftwood there. It sits flat on a table, and he's kind of got an attitude up in the air. So, hey, thanks for watching. This has been Ben with Studio on the Lake. Subscribe, comment, and you'll catch the next video here, as well as the carousel. Thanks a lot.